Chapter 1838, One Step. Zhang Yi wanted to try to see if Lord Ix's ability had any effect on physical attacks in addition to absorbing supernatural attacks. However, facing the attack of this bullet, Lord Ix struck back with his sword.
Ping!
The nuclear bomb flying at dozens of times Mach speed was directly split in half by Lord Ix's sword. Zhang Yi was not surprised that the top-killing machine built by mechanical civilization could block bullets built by similar technology. But this also confirmed Zhang Yi's judgment. Attacks launched in the form of energy will be absorbed and rebounded. However, attacks in physical form are difficult to digest completely. Would you like to try it with Death of Love? Zhang Yi had such an idea in his mind. Although Morana did not communicate with Zhang Yi anymore, Zhang Yi knew that she was also waiting for the opportunity to use Absolute Zero to cooperate with Yang Xinxin's fallen puppet. There is only one best time, so be sure to hit it with one hit. However, there was a very difficult problem before them. Just like they can obtain information about Lord X's abilities through Emperor Shi's Prophet ability, Lord X has mastered almost all the abilities present. The information shared between the mechanical life forms is synchronized in real time. In other words, Zhang Yi, Yang Xinxin, including Morana, and their battle with Demon God B, are all in Lord X's mind. Then Lord X must be prepared for this. If you play with open cards, it depends on who has more hidden cards and plays the cards in his hand better. It seems that ordinary attack methods have no effect on him. If you want to win him as soon as possible, you have to fight at close range. After OS attack was absorbed and reversed by Lord X, this also made the Nordic God King completely angry. The Eternal Spear, which was said to be a sure hit, was easily defused by, which undoubtedly made him lose face. The eight-winged horse under him roared angrily. Austrian took a silver spear from the horse with his right hand and drove the horse directly towards Lord X. The eight-winged horse's feet were wrapped with lightning, and its speed was as fast as the wind and lightning. This is also an Epsilon-level war beast. Only with such a mount can it be called a true cavalry. The horse and horse are one, and the speed is staggering, leaving streaks of thunder and lightning in the air. He was holding a spear, and before Zhang Yi and others had time to speak, he had already charged in front of Lord X. The horse was charging. He gripped the spear, pointed it at Lord X's chest, and stabbed it directly. Boom! Storm and thunder wrapped around his body, and the ground changed color. You know how terrifying the power of this gun is. King Arthur, Emperor Shi, and Zhang Yi shot from the side without any hesitation. Sarah's body instantly merged into the ground and turned into a huge shadow, rushing to Lord X's side. The spear stabbed Lord X's chest, containing majestic energy. This blow could easily flatten a mountain. Seeing this, Lord X didn't dodge at all, but raised the sword in his hand and swept it over. The tip of the spear and the blade of the sword collided in midair, with lightning and thunder, and streams of silver thunder god erupted from the body of the gun. The pressure erupted caused the already dilapidated land to explode into dust again. Chong! The sound of metal collision was so loud. Two huge forces collided together. The spear in Ao's hand had exploded with full force. It could be clearly seen that the gun body had become bent due to this collision. However, those waves of thunder were drawn out the moment they touched the biting sword. Lord X exerted a fierce force and directly launched the Austrian and the horse away. At the same time, waiting for him are King Arthur's sword, Emperor Shi's End of Reincarnation, golden arrows, and Zhang Yi's sniper. Lord X's feet barely moved in place. He raised two swords, one black and one red, with both hands. One sword cut off King Arthur's sword energy, and the other blocked Emperor Shi's golden arrow. As for Zhang Yi's powerful shield-breaking spear, in his opinion it was the weakest attack, because it was just an ordinary sniper attack. Although due to the interference from others and the characteristics of Zhang Yi's ability, this blow was difficult to dodge. However, Lord X possesses the top-level demon body in mechanical civilization. His choice was to catch it directly with his body. Crack! He opened his mouth, revealing his white teeth, and then used these white teeth to directly bite the bullet fired by Zhang Yi. A bullet traveling at dozens of times the speed of Mach was caught by his teeth without breaking them. With such physical strength, one can't help but wonder what kind of monster this is. Boom. The nuclear bomb exploded directly in Lordic's body. Zhang Yi was not very happy. He knew that such a level of attack could not hurt Lordic. However, the other party was stronger than he imagined, which gave Zhang Yi a huge headache. And from the beginning to the end, the opponent was only defending their offensive instead of taking the initiative to attack. Zhang Yi suddenly noticed something interesting. The strength shown by Lordic can definitely easily crush anyone present. Even out of caution, he did not take the initiative to attack anyone present. But even if you need to find out the trump cards of the United Army aliens, you still need to be so conservative. Zhang Yi's eyes were fixed on Lordic's body, and suddenly, he thought of something. At this moment, a strange color suddenly flashed in Lordic's eyes. His body suddenly stiffened on the spot. He tried hard to raise his right hand, and found that his body seemed to be restricted by something, making it very difficult to move. When Lordic's eyes flickered, this was obviously some kind of binding ability. He actually got hit by it in the blink of an eye. Do it! Sarah's voice rang in everyone's ears. Lordic didn't pay attention. At this time, the shadow under his feet had been invaded by something else. Shadow King Sarah. His ghost form can transform into nothingness, whether it is blending into the clouds to become a demon or blending into the shadow to control other people's bodies. The key is that this ability is silent and difficult to guard against. Taking advantage of the fact that Zhang Yi had just joined forces to attract Lordic's attention, Sarah had already controlled Lordic's shadow and then used this to control Lordic's body. Lordic's power is unbelievable. Any opponent in the past who was hit by this move could only be controlled by Sarah. But when used on Lordic, it only limited his ability to move. When the others saw this, they took action again, without hesitation. This time, all the aliens on the scene used their abilities, and dozens of attacks hit Lordic in various ways. These are the top group of aliens in the world today. Their joint attack may not be blocked no matter how powerful Lordic is. He felt the power of this combo, and also felt the limitations on his body. He immediately noticed the abnormality in his shadow, but at this time, he was unable to take into account the attacks coming from all directions at the same time. So at this time, he took off a red energy crystal embedded in his arm. Became hot and bright in Lordic's palm, burning up. A majestic power poured out from his palm in an instant, and a wave of energy, like an ocean, swept across all directions with him as the center. As if the death of love exploded with momentum, terrifying energy shock waves rippled one after another, like a tsunami destroying everything along the coast, and collided with the attacks of dozens of aliens. The terrifying energy fluctuations and the intense radiation produced even temporarily rendered all communication equipment useless. King Arthur and others chose to retreat far away to avoid being hit by the energy. Call out. Sarah's body returned to human form from the ground, and his face was also a little pale. Although he can turn into a two-dimensional shadow, this pure energy impact can still hurt him. He had to give up control of Lordic and escape. After everyone came to the safe area, they all looked forward, where Lordic was. The intensity of that force was extremely terrifying, to the extent that any bishop-level alien would be injured if it was involved. Especially Lordic, who was in the core area of the explosion. Even with the detonation of the red energy crystal, he could block the attacks. However, the aftermath of the energy shock will inevitably have a certain impact as long as he is licked. I just believe that guy's body was broken. Emperor Sure has raised his hand, and another golden holy arrow is ready. As long as Lordic appears, he can cooperate with him to attack him at any time. Zhang Yi in the distance frowned. He said to Morana, "Something is right, have you noticed it?" Morana's cold voice came, "Indeed." After the powerful energy impact slowly dissipated, the ground had already become sunken, but Lordic was still standing on the edge of the pit, blocking everyone. The armor on his body finally showed shallow cracks. "It works!" Someone shouted excitedly in a low voice. This result was not unexpected. They have already done research on the demon body, and that material is indeed very strong, even beyond any currently known material in this category. However, everyone still understands the principle of invincibility. As long as the destructive power is strong enough, even Lordic, the leader of the 10 demon gods, will definitely be destroyed by the joint attack of everyone. Based on the situation, as long as we continue to launch joint attacks, although it will take a little longer, we can definitely kill him. King Arthur held the knight's sword in his hand and said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded one after another, and their eyes became intense. It is a good thing to be able to see the hope of victory. As long as the demon god armor is killed, it will be completely declared that they have won the war against mechanical civilization. This is something that makes us extremely proud. For the first time, we have a sense of honor for the human collective. Don't be happy too early. Zhang Yi's voice came coldly. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Zhang Yi reminded everyone, pay attention to his feet. From the beginning to the end, that guy never moved a step. Everyone followed the sound, and then their eyes changed. S solemn look, S eyes showing fear. Fighting against dozens of powerful human Epsilon aliens at the same time is already extremely difficult to do. It is even more difficult to keep the body in the same position than to reach the sky. They can't even imagine that if Lordic had not stood there and chosen to take the initiative to attack, would he have killed them like a tiger rushing into a herd of sheep? Fortunately, the bishop-level aliens each have powerful abilities and life-saving trump cards. And other people are afraid that they will be killed like melons and vegetables. Is guarding something, and that thing should be connected to the deep pit behind. Zhang Yi reminded everyone, while he was also thinking secretly in his heart. No one was stupid. They looked at Lordic guarding the deep pit behind him, and then thought about the digging operation of mechanical civilization in Fremons for half a year. We suddenly realized that behind Lordic was something important that our mechanical civilization was pursuing so hard. King Arthur's eyes became a little fiery, and so did Emperor Shirtian and others. Although I don't know what that thing is, it must be an incredible treasure. If we can get it, it will bring unimaginable benefits. Emperor Shirtian immediately said, then let's attack and bring the abyss behind with us. A cruel smile appeared on the corner of S' mouth. Let have to work hard. Attack it, and you will save it. This is a very useful tactic. Although they didn't find any weakness in Lordic's abilities, there were also weaknesses in his psychology. Great ideas. The target of everyone's attack is no longer limited to Lordic. King Arthur's sword attack covered Roderick and the abyss behind him. Zhang Yi also used this ability, working illegally. The armed equipment from the Fremons arsenal spread out in the sky, comparable to the artillery fire of several legions, with countless gun barrels pointed at the abyss. Thousands of guns fired. Cannonballs fell from the sky like rain, and the fire rain covered the entire abyss. Emperor Shakshan's Vishnu Bao shot a golden holy arrow, and at the same time, the divine wheel of wonderful sight hovering on the palm of his hand was suddenly released from his fingertips. The Miaojian divine wheel disappeared from in front of him, and then it appeared that it had been divided into two, and the two parts were divided into four. It transformed into 10,000, densely covering a space, and flew towards Lordic. Lordic's eyes became gloomy, knowing that he had discovered something. I can't help but feel a little anxious, because I must not be disturbed by what the six-winged king is doing. Lordic's legs were spread apart on the ground, and his pupils gradually turned red. Body overload. The semi-mechanical body suddenly made bursts of click, click sounds as if gears were shouting, and streams of red light emerged from the torso, and even the joints of the body could be seen emerging. Of white smoke. Lordic, the most perfect artificial human of the Song-era civilization, is a product of the perfect fusion of man and machine. He possesses the powerful abilities of a top alien and also possesses the most powerful fighting body. The point where machines are more powerful than humans is that they are not limited by thinking and can be overloaded to achieve a significant increase in combat effectiveness in a short period of time. Boom! Suddenly stepped on the ground, and the ground under his feet had completely turned into dust. flew into the air, and the swords in both hands were danced into afterimages. At the same time, several red laser rays were fired from various parts of S' body, like several knives cut the sky with precision and sharpness. In the barrage, like a rain of fire, a large number of shells were accurately cut in half by lasers and exploded in midair.
Boom, boom, boom.
A large number of fireworks burst into the sky. Lordic's figure was everywhere in the sky. The right biting sword swallowed up all attacks from energy bodies, and then the left broken sword converted the attack into his own and swept across again. In an instant, all the attacks from Zhang Yi and others were blocked by. Even though Zhang Yi and others had already prepared in their hearts, they were still stunned when they watched the scene. Is this the charm of cyberpunk? Zhang Yi couldn't help but mutter to himself. In the shadow space, Lu Ran watched all this intently, with flames burning in his eyes. The combination of machinery and people can reach this level. It's great. This is really great. Uncle Yu crossed his arms and watched the scene with burning eyes. I was thinking if I could become a being like Demon God Armor, would I no longer be the one holding back Zhang Yi? Couldn't help but ask Lu Ran, Miss Lu, tell me, can I become like that in one day? Lu Ran didn't look back. Her eyes now completely revealed the figure of Lordic. It is difficult to see S movements clearly with a naked eye, so we can only use equipment to capture S movement trajectory. Even if you can't see clearly, you can still see the general appearance of as he handsomely blocked the attacks of dozens of Epsilon-class aliens. How can this not make people feel happy? It will happen one day. It will definitely happen. As long as the demon body can be obtained, Lu Ran's void transformation ability can quickly crack it. Superpower, the power of human evolution. The evolution of Epsilon-class mechanics marks a leap in the technological level of the entire civilization. As long as she can thoroughly study the secrets of the demon god's body, she will be able to turn Uncle Yu into a demon god-level existence in not too long. On the Chernobyl battlefield, Zhang Yi and others fell into a brief silence. Even though they were in a hostile position, they were still amazed by Lordic's strength. Zhang Yi was thinking whether the plan of the God of Death should be implemented. But that also requires a certain amount of risk for. Therefore, it is best to find someone to cooperate with you to implement it. Chaos. We can't delay it any longer. Morana's voice rang in Zhang Yi's ears. The longer it takes, the more intense uneasiness will arise in my heart. This feeling is getting stronger and stronger. Zhang Yi looked at the abyss behind Lordic. You don't need to tell me. Anyone with long eyes can see it. Indeed, everyone can see it. The entire abyss was shrouded in a hazy black mist. No, instead of talking about mist, it's better to talk about strange, spiraling black runes. They are like a group of snakes, or like a tangled mass of discarded negatives. The mysterious and complex runes carry a heart-stopping magic power. It was as if it was opening the door to hell, and something fearful was about to be released. Morana walked forward. She finally decided to do it. Everyone, please create an opportunity for me. From beginning to end, Maulana never tried his best, but no one expressed any opinions. After all, the abilities of these aliens are very special, and they have strict requirements for their ability to be used. For example, rules-based aliens. People don't do it easily, but once they do it, they have to see the result. The cost of failure for rule-based aliens is too high, so they have the lowest sense of presence on the battlefield. Leave it to us. Although I don't know what Morana plans to do, King Arthur still raised the Knight Swords, and the god King Odin also condensed the Thunder Spear. Emperor Shakti drew his long bow, and Oreba's long sword burned.
Flame.
They launched a new round of attack on Lordic without hesitation. Since Lordic does not take the initiative to attack, the power to take the initiative lies with them. Lordic seems to have adapted to everyone's fighting style. The auxiliary computing system of S-Brain gives the ability to never forget, especially the battles of everyone present. Has seen them one by one through the cloud-like central system of mechanical civilization. Lordic is very familiar with them. It's familiar, but facing attacks from dozens of people at once, S body can't handle it perfectly. For this reason, had to try his best. The two swords danced wildly. To balance between devouring and releasing, one must also consider dealing with people with special abilities. Morana pressed her hands on the ground, and a blizzard instantly surged with her as the center. A huge ice and snowstorm instantly appeared in the air, and the blue-white ice and snow rose into the sky like a crazy tsunami in the ocean. The entire land is filled with ice and snow. In the world of ice and snow, those with ice and snow abilities are uniquely favored. We only need to pay 30% of the supernatural power, and then we can use 10% of the power of others. Because in such an environment, there is no need to work hard to cool down and condense ice and snow on a large scale, as there are ready-made materials everywhere. The ice and snowstorm was like a mountain peak rising from the earth, stretching for more than 10 kilometers, like a high wall standing in Chernobyl. Then the mountain collapsed, and countless huge and ferocious icicles roared and swooped towards Lordic.
Down.
Morana stood on the top of the ice and snowstorm, rushing towards Lordic like a sufferer riding a tsunami. The physical attack cannot be swallowed by the sword, so Lordic chose to absorb the power of the attack, and then aimed his sword at the ice and snowstorm in the sky and struck it hard.